Hello, everybody. It's Pat Jones, and it's time for another TurfZoom brought to you by our friends at the Aquatrolls Company. Today, we're here with a man who I think he has a record-setting collection of one thing. I'm going to ask him about it in a minute. One thing that every golf course superintendent loves, and it's John Ballard. John, how are you?
I'm good, Pat. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine, but I'm dying. I'm dying to ask you this question because I think you may be the record setter. How many hoodies do you own?
Oh gosh, that is a that's a good question. A bunch. In fact, actually, we just placed another order for hoodies. Every time uniform budget month comes up, and I work with Justin, I'm like, we got to get some hoodies. So I've got quite a few. I'm a
You
hoodie
have
guy.
a nice fashion sense and a good wardrobe and everything. But I was glancing back through the pictures I took of you during the PGA Championship and then some of your Facebook stuff, and every single one of them you have a cool hoodie on, either from your place or someplace else. So I think you have to be the champ.
There you go. Yeah, it's good.
Some guys is hats. For a while, everybody had to have 300 hats, and I think we've gotten by that now.
Well, I think, but what was it? Maybe like 5 years ago, they made hoodies for middle-aged men, right? So it wasn't
Yes.
just the old thick sweatshirt. You could sort of have the thin, I'm cool, I'm still trying to be young. And so
Right.
I've hit that stage of my life. And so I'm like, now I got to kind of be young again. So, but maybe that's some of it.
I have a fairly good collection, but I'm not anywhere near your age. So let's go back. Let's go back and talk about the PGA because it was just, there was a sideshow, but that didn't matter. What was impressive to me was you and your team and that golf course and how much fun everybody was having and how much the fans in Louisville enjoyed that event. So, looking back, what were your best memories of the PGA?
I think probably it was just sort of the culmination of what we had been working on for 3 years, kind of getting to that point. A lot of folks don't sort of see the behind the scenes and all the grind that gets there. And then when you get to the week of watching our team, watching Phil and Justin Payton, the whole lot of them coming together, getting the volunteers in, it was a huge priority for us to make sure it was a sort of a special event, right? If you're going to take time off from work or be away
Right.
from your family, we wanted you to walk away with a good experience. And so we put, maybe not as much focus there as the golf course, but we certainly put a lot. And I think it paid off. And it was a really cool week, a cool experience.
When you look back and you talk to other folks and even there, I remember seeing Pete Went and Troy Flanagan and a bunch of people hosting events in the future. Even there, what advice were you sharing? What was sort of the biggest lesson that you learned from doing that you think I wish I'd known this 5 years ago when I started this process?
I would say it would probably be the volunteer side, like bringing more people in. I think the golf course side, your golf course, right? Pete knows his golf course. These guys know their properties. It's how do we get all these folks in? How do we house them? Transportation, food, and then
Yep.
how do we get all the things done that we need to get done in a short period of time? So that was really kind of the thing that was impressed upon me from Jeff Corcoran at Oak Hill and
Yeah.
shadowing him and Russ down at Southern Hills. Like you sort of do these a few years out because I'm the first to raise my hand and say, I've not done this before. I'm not going to
Right.
act like I know how to do it. So you lean on the guys before, and hopefully maybe I shared a little bit of that with the guys that are to come.
That's great. And you had such a good team. So impressed. Young, but absolutely purpose driven. And so who's moved on? How many folks have used that opportunity to move on to their own golf course?
So we've actually only had one. So we
Yeah,
had an AIT, Ben Nelson, who recently, just this week, was his first week. He took an assistant's job at another golf course. So I thought
that's
post
amazing.
tournament, the cupboard's going to be pretty bare, and it's not for a variety of reasons. I think golf and transitions are different depending on where you're at in your life and what you're trying to do, and I think the guys like being here and be a part of what we're doing as well too. And so if the
Yeah.
opportunity doesn't sort of exceed what they currently have, then maybe they're content to stay here a little longer.
And Louisville is a cool place. I mean, it's absolutely a fabulous city, great community. It's not an expensive place to live. You can live there at a good cost of living, but it's got a great golf culture, great sports culture, and a pretty good drinking culture too. But it's such a fun place to live. Do you think that is a factor why people do stay? And you've got employees there that have been there since Mark was there and been there a long time.
Yeah, so Jason Newman, our head mechanic,
Okay.
he's been here the longest. He's kind of the tenured guy. Outside of that, everybody's new from my tenure in 2019 when I
Oh, is that right?
arrived.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I know
everybody's kind of
Jason.
used to
Yeah.
that. But yeah, Jason's great, and he's sort of, when I get a little stressed out, I'll kind of lean on him, and he'll say, "Hey, don't worry about it. We've seen this before, or this has kind of happened." But you're right. Louisville's a great place. I moved here in 1998, took
Right.
an assistant job at a golf course, not knowing sure what the future would be, and it's just become home. And we've been able to raise a family here, and it's a wonderful city.
Right. And you were connected deeply with the university, and now you have a son playing baseball there. How cool is that?
It is. It's very cool. So I worked for the University of Louisville Golf Club
Right.
before coming here. Was tied to athletics. You had season tickets for all their sports, and it was great. You thought, man, this is great. And you're right. My youngest son, Nicholas, is a freshman playing baseball for the University of Louisville, and they're kind of wide open with workouts and school and practice and all that kind of stuff. So super excited. Christy and I are to watch him compete this fall and next spring.
Wow, that's great. I mean, and again, just such a wonderful community, and I think kind of a best kept secret place that people should go visit. I was fortunate because I went there a lot to go to the old lawn care show. That's still
Mhm.
kind of there. There's an equipment show there, but it used to be that was Louisville's big claim to fame, is that it was the host of the big lawn show every year, and now I think Valhalla is their claim to fame. So what have you been doing since the event in terms of sort of continuing to build things out and improve things? What kinds of things have you focused on as you look forward to the next big thing in the future?
So I think the big thing after the tournament was just kind of putting it all back together, right? Everybody comes in for
Right.
sort of that week and then leaves, and then we're left kind of with the mess to clean up. Inside the ropes is good, right? That's kind of where your bread and butter is. But it was sort of everything that was outside of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't really prepared for as much of that. You kind of knew, okay, we're gonna have to do some things, but it was more than what I had really anticipated. And so that's kind of where we've been in terms of getting that all back together. We obviously spent a large portion of last year doing that, even a little bit this year. And I think it's just trying to kind of figure out what's normal for Valhalla to look like when there isn't something
Right.
going on, and finding our stride with that. What's our new normal?
Right. Are you still as committed to the native grasses and stuff like in the fall? That was one of the things that really struck me about the tournament, was it being earlier in the year. It didn't have that same sort of brownish tall grass look. Has that changed at all?
It has changed a little bit, only mostly because of sort of the direction of our ownership group. So really, when they came in, sort of our mantra, and it's in the break room in there, but it's firm, fast, and fun. So that's sort of a lot of decision making that we decide on. And some of the fun factor is lower heights of cut on rough and not as much native. So we've sort
Yeah.
of moved a little bit away from that. Not that we don't have these sort of no-mo areas, but we cut them on a regular basis to where they're sitting at like an 8 to 10 inch height, and so you can get in there and still find your ball. It gives you a little bit of definition. But in terms of the brown, wispy, and all that stuff, we've really kind of moved away from that.
Interesting. Interesting. I don't think you're alone. I think that a lot of clubs have looked at that and thought, well, that was an experiment. Maybe we can tone it down a little bit because it does slow things down, unquestionably.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when people describe it as no maintenance, they're kidding themselves, as you know. Interestingly enough, I did not too long ago see a drone application of selective herbicides over top of a native area, and I think that holds some promise for the future. So we were talking before we had started here about kind of what the future holds and how things are evolving and how young people coming into this market. What do you see? What do you see about how the profession is evolving? In your 25 years just in Louisville, how much things have changed. What do you see the future looking like with the profession? Is it going to be less technical? Is it going to be more technical? Is it going to be more about people? What do you think?
I think it's more on the technical side. I think you just mentioned, like with the drone applications, I
Yeah.
think the technology that's coming into the industry, we're starting to use a little bit of that with the autonomous mowers,
Mhm.
kind of dabbling in that market. Some people have been out for a while and doing it and having great success. So I see more of that coming. And then in terms of the personnel, I think that kind of goes hand in hand. So if you think about the folks that are coming in now, the young kids, they've grown up with a cell phone. And so they're very tech savvy. And so if there's opportunities to introduce and have that in a profession that still requires some gut feeling, some science, and some things like that, I think that's a win. So that's kind of how I see things going, being a little bit more technical than the days of old of just kind of the whiteboard and scratch some things out.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I do also think that the sort of old standard of everybody having a 4-year turf degree is going away. That it's just not reasonable, and nor are there that many schools offering 4-year degrees anymore. And if you do really want one, it's going to cost you $250,000. So clearly, I think that's one of the things that Tyler Bloom and I have seen, and we've talked with others about is what do we do to train these people in house and what kinds of educational opportunities there. And I remember the first time I came down and visited you, watching several of your AITs and folks literally sitting there taking online classes in between breaks
Right.
in your wonderful new maintenance facility and thinking that's the future right there.
Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned Ben Nelson, who just took this
Yeah,
assistant job. He came from Maryland and was like, I'm thinking about going to school. I'm like, why don't you come and work here
yeah.
and take an online 2-year degree and you can build experience here. You start building that resume with work history and some things like that. And I totally agree with you. I think that's kind of the direction a lot of this is going.
When young people might happen to be watching this, would you be interested in having more people come apply to be interns and to have an experience at Valhalla?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our internship program, though, Pat, really, I mean, so when I did internships when I was young, you got nothing out of it, right? I mean, it just, and Frank Turner, the first boss that I had at Cherokee Country Club, I see him, I love him dearly. And he jokes all the time. He's like, I never showed you anything. I should have done more. And so I
Right?
was like, if I'm ever in a position to have interns, we're going to make sure that they have a really good experience. And
Yeah.
we talk about intentional development. And so we will only bring on 4 every year. That's it, because we really want to stay laser focused on these guys' development and girls' development. And it's been good. And it's my goal. I tell them at the beginning, I need you to go back to college, right? When you go back to your university and someone's asking about an internship, I want you in a position to say, man, you've got to go to Valhalla. I mean, what I learned and what they let me do and what they taught me. So our internship program is pretty robust, and it's actually interesting because we've had to turn a couple guys down, and so it's been a good thing.
So one of the great things is people come out of there and they know that they've learned from you and that their next boss knows that they've been able to learn. I think that mentorship factor is never going to get less important. It's only going to get more important about where you're able to say, I think you'd fit well here, or I think you'd fit well with my friend Troy Flanagan at Olympic or wherever it might be. So that's really the unknown factor is how well they create some connectivity via their boss, their intern boss, or whatever it might be. Okay, so who are your go-to buddies in the industry? Who are some people that you've always been able to have those conversations with when things go sideways, or just when things are great? Who are some of your best friends in the business?
So I'd say locally around town, because we're always kind of dealing with the same weather
Yeah,
situations and things like that. But I would say Rick Karras at
yeah.
Louisville Country Club, Papa
What a
Bear, we call him
stud! What a
Papa
stud!
Bear. Yeah. Because when we were young, he was a little older, and he'd always say, "Hey, slow down, boys, slow down." We'll do this kind of thing. But him and Walter Pritchett at Hurstbourne.
Yeah,
Walter just
well,
hosted the ISCO, but just two really great superintendents. They know how to grow grass, and so I'll lean on those guys quite a bit. And then obviously Roger Myers is just a dear friend of mine, and,
yeah.
and we talk often. And he's obviously got experience with the property, so I'll say, "Hey, what do you think here?" That kind of thing. So yeah, those are some of my go-to guys.
I couldn't have been more impressed walking into that maintenance facility on Wednesday or whatever it was during the PGA Championship and looking at all the incredible turf professionals around there and sitting and watching the conversation you were having with Pete Went and Troy and Mark Wilson and just amazing and knowing that they were there to support you and Roger obviously. So, boy, that doesn't happen very often where you have, a couple of predecessors coming back and cheerfully helping, watching you run a major. So that was a joy.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. And like I said, I'd never done one before, so I wasn't going to act like I know what I'm doing. you lean on these guys that have done it before. You mentioned Mark. I mean, what a great guy to lean on. I mean, he's done
No doubt.
multiple PGA championships, a Ryder Cup on this facility. Do you think I wouldn't reach out to him and say, "Hey, Mark, how do you do this?"
He was fabulous. And a tip of my hat to your dad. I really enjoyed meeting your dad down there too. So final thoughts as you get a chance just to talk to your colleagues and your friends around the country here today. What do you want to let them know about you and about Valhalla?
I would just say Valhalla continues to try to strive to put on the best golf course we can. We're excited about the 2028 Solheim Cup that's coming up.
That's what I was hoping you mentioned. Yep.
Yeah, kind of focused on that a little bit, and just continuing to kind of build our crew, our culture, and just enjoy coming to work every day. That's what we try to do.
Solheim's such a special event. Perfect event for you guys. I can't wait to come down and visit.
That'd be great.
Okay, count me in. And you count on having another TurfZoom from the folks at the Aquatrolls Company very soon. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Pat.